Hello everyone, I am planning to make a sort of mini-series on my YouTube channel regarding personal stories that I've been through, and I want to make it into a gacha-like video, but more like me telling the story and then creating the gacha video underneath it to sort of visualize it. And I'm thinking, if the series is a success and it all works out, maybe I could feature some other stories too that aren't my personal stories, but stories from friends or whatever, if they're okay with it. And mainly the stories that I want to talk about are like the creepy kind of stories, the creepy vibes. So like nightmares I've had or actual experiences. And I kind of want to do this because I feel like talking about those kind of things can be quite interesting. Like the first story I have coming up is this weird dream that I used to have. It was a recurring dream, and it's just kind of a good subject to spark a conversation, and I think that's just really cool. So I want to talk about it, and I want to create and visualize it in a more, how would you say that? A less time consuming manner, because if I were to animate all of it, then oof, I'd be here for eternity. So, hooray for gacha to exist. So that's kind of what I was planning. And so for the first story, I want to talk about it, like, right now and see if I can visualize it. So, here goes. It is about an interesting nightmare of mine, actually. But it's not really that scary when you think about it. It's just more the feeling that was just weird. Anyways, so, let's start. Often nightmares feature monsters, life or death situations, that sort of thing. Usually mine are like that too, except for one reoccurring nightmare that I used to have as a kid. It's not at all scary, but I felt an intense fear during this dream, one that I cannot explain. I used to dream about an all-white room. There wasn't anything of color aside from one red fire hose reel. One of those round reels that are often in office buildings. When I looked at it, I would suddenly feel an intense dread, a feeling of being in danger. I'd freeze up and just stare at it in fear, which didn't make sense, because it's just an ordinary object. But then, after that moment of dread and confusion, the reel would suddenly, very slowly start to unroll itself, inch by inch, dropping the hose slowly on the white floor. The dread would then spiral so much that I'd wake up. And a year or so later, the dream came back and continued where it left off. It continued to unroll itself further until I'd wake up again. This weird dream kept coming back and slowly unwinding a little more each time, while the feeling of fear kept looming over me in an overwhelming way. At some point, the nightmare stopped coming back, as if suddenly the pattern was interrupted. I haven't had this dream anymore in a long time. At some point, me and my mom were talking about weird dreams and nightmares, so I brought up this one. My mom made one statement that sent chills up my spine. She said, "I wonder what would happen when the fire hose is finally completely unwound." I realized that's likely what the fear was leading up to. Whatever would happen next wasn't gonna be good. I get chills every time I think about this, even though the context isn't scary at all. Like when I look at a real fire hose, nothing happens, no fear or weird feelings. It's just the one in this dream that keeps bringing that dread up, and I have no clue why, other than, what my mom suggested about something happening once it's finally completely unrolled. Kinda spooky when you think about it, even though it's just a normal everyday object. And it's supposed to save lives, but instead, there's just fear? I don't know, it's very, very curious and peculiar to think about. So yeah, these are kind of the type of stories that I want to try and visualize more of. So if you liked it, please like the video so I know I have, or, well, not have to, but so I know that I could do more of this and that it would be appreciated. and if you didn't, that's absolutely fine too. Thank you all so much for watching, and have an awesome day/night.